When Isaacson asked Steve Jobs at the end of his life how he wanted to be remembered, Steve said, "Life is like a river, and I used to think your legacy is what you got to take out of the river. All of the things you made and acquired, all the goodies you got, all the things you learned. But now I realize that life is about what you get to put into the river, the ideas that you get to contribute for future generation. It is not enough to have passion. Everyone is passionate about something. You have to connect your passion to something bigger than yourself." Genetic destiny is a central theme of The Codebreaker. The Codebreaker, it is the biography about Jennifer Doudna. This book was written by Walter Isaacson. Walter Isaacson wrote wonderful biographies about Kissinger, Einstein, Benjamin Franklin, Steve Jobs. Jennifer Doudna and her French colleague Emmanuel Carpentier won the 2020 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. They won for their work in CRISPR technology, gene editing, and ultimately for coronavirus testing and vaccines. It would be helpful to have some science background while reading this book, but it is not impossible without it. When Jennifer Doudna was a girl growing up in Hawaii, she was full of questions. Why is the sky blue? Why is the ocean green? What exactly is life anyway? Many of us are like that as kids, until one day some grown-up tells us to stop asking so many stupid questions. Most of us take that advice. But Jennifer Doudna never lost their childlike sense of curiosity and wonder. We should follow our curiosity wherever it leads. But once we get there, we should turn what we find into something of value. The book starts with Doudna's early life in Hawaii, but quickly deviates to James Watson and Francis Crick's efforts to define the structure of DNA. When Jennifer was in 6th grade, she read the book The Double Helix. She became enthralled by the intense drama behind the competition to discover the code of life. Even though her school counselor told her girls did not become scientists, she decided she would. Driven by a passion to understand how nature works and to turn discoveries into invention, she would help to make what the book author James Watson told her was the most important biological advance since his co-discovery of the structure of DNA. The past half century has been a digital age based on the microchip, computer, and internet. Now we are entering a life science revolution. Children who study digital coding will be joined by those who study genetic code. Jennifer Doudna, she did the PhD from Harvard. She decided to partner with two women to study RNA. Jennifer and her colleagues came to understand that RNA is a lot more interesting than DNA. Whereas DNA sits in the nucleus of our cells, curating information and never going out or doing much of anything. RNA ventures to the outer regions of our cells and oversees the building of proteins. Jennifer realized that RNA could have incredible applications as a messenger in vaccines or as a guide for gene editing tool. The Codebreaker is predominantly about CRISPR. However, the author has tried to create a book. This is more similar to a biography than a traditional popular science book. He has centered the book around Nobel laureate Jennifer Doudna and has used her as a touchstone throughout the book to link the overall narrative. Jennifer Doudna, she is a genuine heroine for our time, maybe the code breaker of the book's title, but she is only part of Isaacson's story. Jennifer Doudna, Gene Editing and the Future of the Human Race. This book covers, in chronological order, a time span of 160 years from Darwin's publication on the origin of species in 1859 to the development of mRNA vaccines against the coronavirus in 2020. After fellowships and postdoc programs at the University of Colorado and Yale, she joined the faculty at the University of California in 2002. In 2006, she learned about CRISPR. Isaacson has done an excellent job of describing complex biochemistry and genetics in an easy to digest manner. Jennifer got the inspiration from her parents and others and her great curiosity, a trait in common with Steve Jobs, Leonardo, Einstein. What motivates scientists and what makes science work? What gives its application in our daily lives as the information technology revolution has in our lifetime? Are scientists motivated by money or fame or power? A starting point leading to the discovery of the gene editing system is the year 1990, when Francisco Mojica, in sequencing genome regions of Archaea, a kind of bacteria, spotted 14 identical DNA sequences which repeated at regular intervals, and between them were spacer segments. The editing of our DNA can actually start before a fertilized egg is implanted in a woman. If the woman's family has a history of heart disease, the gene that causes the disease can be edited out, ensuring the child is not born with that condition. The same with diabetics and certain cancers and diseases. It can also edit the genes that could make a person taller, muscular, and more intelligent. And yes, indeed, there are many ethical questions. Jennifer Doudna was raised in Hawaii, where with blonde hair and blue eyes, she says she felt like a complete freak. But she loved exploring nature in the surrounding meadows and sugarcane field, and was encouraged by her father and a biology professor to think about a life devoted to science. That interest was ignited when her father gave her a copy of James Watson, The Double Helix, a lively account about the discovery of the structure of DNA, for which he won a Nobel Prize in 1962. Jennifer Doudna got the education from Harvard, Yale, and University of California, Berkeley, where she head the Department of Chemistry and the Department of Molecular and Cell Biology. Jennifer Doudna is an exceptional scientist whose work changed the world. CRISPR might be used on human genes. They first have to discover CRISPR, the acronym for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. The Japanese scientist was the first to discover the repeat structures in a bacteria. Jennifer and her colleague discovered how bacteria defend themselves against their old enemy, the virus. The bacteria cut up some of the DNA from the virus and then implant them on themselves so that they can identify the invading virus when they attacked again. They discover how exactly the bacteria cut up the virus DNA. They discovered the process through the RNA and how the tracer RNA help identify, then guide the bacteria's protein enzyme to the target. Ethical issues involve not only the big question as to whether we should allow genetic editing in humans, but also the subsidiary question of when we are ready for it. With the COVID pandemic, scientists are open to use gene editing as an answer. They are also working on other diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer. Francisco Mojica, the Spanish scientist who first spotted CRISPR in bacteria inhabiting salt ponds in the 1990s. Isaacson also paid tribute to many others who, in their own way, contributed to the understanding and the development of gene editing. At the end of the day, the discoveries are what endure. We are just passing on this planet for a short time. We do our job and then we leave and others pick up the work. In early November 2018, twin girls, Lulu and Nana, were delivered by caesarean section in a Chinese hospital. Their birth probably would have gone unnoticed outside of the family, except for one factor. They were the world's first gene-edited babies. A Chinese scientist, He Jiankui, edited their embryos in an effort to protect them from being infected with the HIV virus using a gene-edited tool called CRISPR. The announcement of designer babies was met with horror and outrage, particularly in the scientific community. He lost his job and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. RNA is a molecule in living cells that is similar to DNA, but it has one more oxygen atom in its sugar phosphate backbone and a difference in one of its 4 bases. CRISPR is the most powerful DNA editing tool humankind has ever possessed, and figuring out if and when to edit our genes. The story of CRISPR's discovery is convoluted, from labs in Japan to salt ponds in Spain to a yogurt factory in Wisconsin. In short, CRISPR is an ancient defense system that bacteria use to kill viruses by shredding genetic material. A team led by Feng Zhang at the Broad Institute, a private Harvard-MIT partnership, first edited human cells, which are more complicated, more importantly medically, and far more lucrative. In the end, Zhang won the patent for human cells. A furious Jennifer Doudna challenged this in court, arguing that Zhang had done nothing except take the next easy and obvious step in technology she pioneered. Isaacson has no doubt that the invention of CRISPR and the plague of COVID will fasten our transition to the third great revolution of modern times. Those revolutions arose from the discovery, beginning just over a century ago, of the 3 fundamental kernels of our existence: the atom, the bit, and the gene. Saying we are learning the language in which God created life, to quote from President Bill Clinton at a White House event celebrating the Human Genome Project, hints at a handier analogy. The science of genetics seems to gin up rivalries. James Watson and Francis Crick versus Rosalind Franklin in the 1950s, Craig Venter and Celera versus Francis Collins and the Human Genome Project in the 1990s. These days, it is Jennifer Doudna versus Feng Zhang in a potentially multi-billion-dollar battle over the DNA editing technology, CRISPR. Competition spurs us to do amazing things. In 2012, Jennifer Doudna and her team at UC Berkeley started racing a scientist named Feng Zhang and his team at MIT and Harvard to see who could be the first to use CRISPR to edit human DNA. Their competition led to breakthroughs. Both teams finished their research in January 2013 and filed for patents they are still battling over. Isaacson explores the moral or ethical issues about gene editing. Would it be wrong to do so? Or would it be wrong not to do so?